This podcast is sponsored by Kadan Kadan. Kadan Kadan is a new groupage app that allows you to share space within a shipping container so that you can save costs when it comes to your logistics and transportation. Visit kadankadan.com to learn more or visit the Instagram page Kadan Kadan Official. Good day, everyone. This is Malobi from the Kadan Kadan podcast. And today I have a very good friend, colleague, Odogu, all, all the different things you want to put into one package. This guy is an amazing guy in the space, young man making a change in the agribusiness space. Derin from Leky Mills. I'm very excited to have him on. I've been trying to get him on for a long time, but I'm very happy that it's happening finally. And yeah, welcome to the podcast, Derin. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here finally. I've been sending
Yes,
emails, sending letters just to make it on, but I'm glad my emails got responded to. But man, I'm glad to be here, man.
excellent, excellent. Quick story of myself and Darren met. We actually met at a cold chain related event. On actually it was on my birthday actually 4 years ago, and yeah, we just got along, and like I said, we're both young people in the agribusiness space, and it's always good to network with people. And since then, we've been very close. So I'm very excited for you guys to learn about his story, and also to learn about the cold chain value chain, and also the value chain that his company is involved in. So before spoiling any of it, Darren, please let the people know what your company does and how you got into doing what you're doing today.
Okay. Um, First of all, thank you, Malovi, again for having me. Super excited to be doing this. I think we're having a conversation about how we're young people in this space and we need to tell our stories and put face to the companies that we're building and all of these fun stuff. I'm typically like a behind the scenes guy, which I still would stick to because I like that space. But every now and then it's always good to come out, share stories about, what we're building and, the challenges and, the hopes and dreams as well. So my name is Derinsoal Adebayor. I am the co-founder and CEO of a young manufacturing company called Leky Mills. Uh, Leky Mills actually is inspired by the city of Lekki in Lagos, Nigeria. I was, one of those beneficiaries of the new, life after COVID, pretty much. We were, stuck together in the house of four guys. It was a light bulb moment for me. And I said, why not? I like yam, and I was looking to start a business during that period. And every time we're going to cook for each other, that yam was always the last thing. Nobody wanted to cut yam for everybody. And, it was one of those light bulb moments like, is there anything like this? And I did some research and I really saw like there was nothing like that. We're actually the first indigenous, company doing this, which is packed yam, basically. Our biggest, win was to keep that same taste of yam. So whether you boil it or you fry it, it still tastes like real yam. So this is not a poundo yam and pounded yam sort of thing. This is pretty much yam in a bag. So what we did was, we said, let's make it easy for folks to eat yam. So our tagline is, yeah, now you can eat yam without stress, because me coming into this space was me learning as I go because I really didn't have any like background in agribusiness and processing, so I had to really learn. But more importantly, I had to understand, why I was doing it. So for me, it was about adding value, right? It was about solving a problem. And I keep saying in solving not just any problem, but a Nigerian and African problem. That's what it was about for me. And this was just one of those things. A lot of folks eat and scratch, and raw yams bring in like pests and all of those things, and yam rots, and it gets spoiled. And it was just like one of those things. I'm like, it should be a no-brainer. Like, put in a bag, make it easy for folks to eat. And yeah, we started our journey in 2021, and we've been running since then. And it's been a journey, I'll say that. So I'll wait for other questions that you throw at me, and then I'll sort of jump in. But yeah, we're pretty much a um processing company that is really focused on adding values to yam, basically.
Amazing, amazing. And your flagship product, what would you call it? Is it yam fries or is it yam chips? Or like what do you guys like? If you were just to like explain it to someone on the street in like a couple words.
Right. So it's yam chips, but now it's yam fries, and that's a long story on its own. But it's yam fries. That's what we call it now.
All right, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so you guys came up with the idea. You're solving a problem. You're processing the yams, making it easier for people to consume it. So can you tell us a little bit about coming from whatever you were doing before to like learning about all the different things along the way that you had to learn in order to get into this agri processing business?
So again, background is in design, architecture, industrial design, all of those fun stuff. So I came back to Nigeria in 2018, joined my brother who was building a young, tech company called Split. I was here to design, user interface, all of those fun stuff, design related, marketing, all of those branding, all of those things I'm very good at. And so I pretty much just jumped into Lagos and jumped into the tech space, which was fun at the time anyway. Just, seeing how everything worked. And it was like, a lot of people struggle when they move back to Lagos. But my Lagos moving back was super fun. It felt like I just jumped in and I just started working with this, cool, team, and, actually doing stuff. And, Split is a great company I super love, and it's still running up to now. So that was like my introduction to, Lagos life, in my later days. Um, and then I left because I really wanted to start my own thing. So I sort of took a break for like a year, just, consulting, doing stuff with my dad in like the project management and architecture space. And I remember my dad telling me like, hey, why don't you come and join me here? And I'm like, give me a year, basically. And within that year, that's when COVID happened. And thank God, like, Leky Mills idea came about. And for me, it was like it's a it's a different ball game when your mindset is I want to solve a problem, right? It wasn't about just, oh, I want to be a co-founder, I want to be a startup, I want to be in this ecosystem, all these fun things. Like, for example, I never use the word startup. I never call Leky Mills a startup. I think that, word is a bit overused, around a tech startup, blah, blah, blah. So we call Leky Mills a young company because for me, it was about adding real value. It was about, solving problems. It was about, creating something tangible as well. So whatever field I was going to find myself in, that was my mindset. So when this idea came about, I just felt like he sort of fit into my mindset, if that makes any sense. And, it sort of fit into what I really wanted to do. And I think that's the best part about what I'm doing. It's like I feel, by God's grace, I'm walking in my purpose. And there's nothing as fulfilling as that. No matter how tough it might be, no matter how hard it might be, I still feel like I'm actually walking in my purpose. So it's been like like I said, learning every day, literally figuring things out. But I had to get a team of people that knew certain things, and we came together and That's how we've been building and learning at the same time, to be honest.
Fantastic, fantastic. One thing I found is like with this entrepreneurial space, and when you start a new business, at the beginning, you get a little bit excited, you get kind of caught up in the whole hype of it, and then you see the reality of the business, and then start seeing the challenges. So
Yeah.
what was that first thing that first like roadblock or whatever that you're like, whoa, like I did not see this coming. In my perfect view of how this thing was gonna go, I didn't know I would encounter these kind of problems. What were some of those things that came along?
Having no money.
Okay, fair enough.
Having no money. Having no money for sure. Obviously, like my brother has split, and I never used to worry about whether there was money or not. Man would just do my job, make sure everything was good, make sure, I'm doing my thing, really. Paying salaries, looking for money for operations, all of those things were my brother's headache. But when you start your own thing, you realize, like, man, you actually need money to run. And then this is not tech that you can get a bunch of guys and, just be working, designing, building, coding, and work is still going on, getting, subscribers, getting people. We're a yam company, so we need actual yam, and we need staff, and we need all these things. Capital intensive, super capital intensive. So I remember the idea was fantastic in my head, and I got a bunch of people to give me small 1 million here and there. But we needed so much more money to actually like get space, get some machineries and stuff like that. So I think that was the first time it was like, oh wow. Yeah, this is real business. I remember we got some funds, we paid for rent, and we're like, yes, this is step one. At least you have a space. And I remember we couldn't use that space for like 3, 4 months because we didn't have money to get machines and all of those things. And I remember just going to that space and just like praying. I just like, God, please. But that was when it actually dawned on me, like, yeah, it was like, yeah, you actually need money for this business. And how we've been able to run since 2021, every day minus like hiccups here and there is honestly I just thank God for real. But yeah, to answer your question is,
That's
yeah, having no money for your great idea.
yeah. That's so true. And when you start the journey, you start seeing like how much more you need, and like you said, like it's not tech, right? This inventory, and worse still, your stuff is perishable inventory. So, it's so much more things you have to deal with. So I completely understand that. So staying on that topic of the money issue, how have you found, you had a little bit of a taste of the tech thing. How have you found like raising funds for the agribusiness space? Would you say it's a lot harder to get the money, or how have you found it?
So I think because tech, it's almost like they can sort of see how their money would come back to them. Um, it looks easier, but with agribusiness, they probably don't see how, in the sense that it's like, okay, um, you're gonna whatever, okay, cashew, whatever it is, you're gonna buy cashew, you're gonna process it, you're gonna distribute it, is a lot longer to understand than, oh, I'm going to get 500 subscribers that will be paying 10 $10 every month, and food, it's simpler. And then it looks long, it's not like it looks longer. I think, with agri and, manufacturing, it's patient capital. And I would say, you know, a lot of Nigerian investors aren't like long-term investors. They want their money like tomorrow. But in this it's not about that. And that's why with every one of my investors, I would always say, if you want your money tomorrow, this is not where you should put your money. And I've been very fortunate to have like fantastic investors to help me out. be patient, be supportive, keep encouraging me because inevitably that sort of drives my passion and drives me to do, even a better job than I'm doing, regardless of how tough the season is, just being resilient. I remember I went to one of our institutional investors. I went to their office just to drop some stuff for like, I think it was like Christmas or something. Oh no, it was like recently, maybe like a layer or something. I just went to drop like fruits for one of our investors. And I remember, so I remember, I went to one of, those institutions and, you know, one of the babes that were sort of like on our project helping us to get the investment. And she saw me, she was like, you guys are still running? You guys are resilient. And I could tell that, probably, some of their portfolio companies are probably, packed up and stuff like that. But I think it's because,
Mm.
they've been very, patient with me. They've been very, patient with me. So again, would I say it's harder? That's debatable, but I think it's not, I would say it's not as easy as, the tech space used to be. I'm hoping that there will be like an agri boom in the in terms of investment, and people, because when you look at what the food, market is saying right now, you would expect investors and the government to be pouring into, young companies and manufacturing companies to be able to like, attain that food sustainability. So I'm hoping there'll be a boom in this industry. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll say it's yeah, I'll say it's easier. I'll say there's been a tech boom. There are a lot of cash has gone towards that sector.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about some of the wins, right? I've talked about some of the challenges, the things you have to go through, but I
Right.
want to talk about the wins because I've been following your story for a while now. When I first met you, you had a pretty decent influencer that was kind of the face of your brand ambassador, for lack of a better word. And then okay, now you're exporting. Um, but then also you landed a pretty decent distribution partnership to particular fast food places. So can you share some of the wins that you've made along the way?
And I think the biggest win for us right now is the fact that we're still in business. I'll say that's the biggest win. um, because it's tough, as you can imagine. But previously, I think wins like, being able to be a distributor to Chicken Republic was a huge win, over like 50 something stores in Lagos, you know, and of course, UK as well. That's a huge win for us. And not just for Leky Mills, but I think for Nigeria as well, because we're the first, company to do it. And we know that, entering those markets is not a walk in the park. You have to have, the right product, the right packaging, the right, certifications and all of those stuff. And, thankfully, we're able to get into that market. So it was just like a huge, validation for us, and we got like a report that from NAVDAC, out of like out of like 10 containers, seven gets rejected. So to be part of like the, 3% or 30%, it's a huge win. So yeah, other wins include just having older folks also like the product, because we really thought it would just be like a Gen Z millennial sort of product, but having older folks saying, oh yeah, like we eat the product, we really like it, it makes life so much easier for us. Those are wins that we don't take for granted, really.
Well said, well said. And that actually takes me full circle because you're talking about, being one of the few Nigerian companies that actually exports refrigerated or frozen foods to the UK successfully. That's not a small feat because we know the challenges we have locally in Nigeria. So I want to just talk about the cold chain piece. This is really where your company is, and I'm sure we've spoken before. You mentioned you're going to do other products. But before we talk about that, what are kind of the areas that Nigeria can do better when it comes to the cold chain infrastructure? You can talk about whether it's, we need more private investors, or maybe the government needs to do something. Like, where do you think the main hiccup is for like good cold chain end to end?
It's cold chain, and we need electricity. Yeah, that pretty much answers that question. Electricity is number one thing to spend money on diesel, and that reduces some overhead. A lot of overhead actually. Saying, cold food, um, frozen food companies, subsidizing, power and stuff like that. That would be very helpful as well. And obviously, like, putting money into entire cold chain fish from, bringing in new, like, higher quality vans and, cold trucks and cold hubs and all those things. But all those things, everything, amount of ideas that you're going to implement, they all exist on, the electricity infrastructure. So if you don't fix that, you're just going to have ideas not working because the foundation is broken. You fix the foundation and then you let private investors start to build on those foundations. I think that's how it should be, really.
No, well said, well said. I completely agree. I think the electricity is a real foundation, and security, which is something that has been mentioned many times on this podcast. Just as we
Yeah.
kind of start rounding up, I wanted to get from you what's next for Leky Mills. I mean, you don't have to share any trade secrets or any things you don't want to share, but like, what do you guys have in the pipeline? What other things you want to do in the next sort of 5 years?
Yeah. No, we taking over in 5 years for sure.
Exactly, bro. Amen,
um,
bro.
I mean, it's exciting stuff. I'm super excited, and it's very hard to be excited in this period. But I'm excited because we're working on like some really cool products that, I can't wait to share. But obviously, I can't share them right now. But we're adding more value to yams. Reason why, I started this company was because I wanted to add value to yams. The reason why it became a great mission for me was because I saw the amount of yams that we produce in Nigeria. And I said, any country that is producing 70% of something, if a country is producing 70% of sand, you should be adding value to it or selling it to the world. That's what great countries do,
Hmm.
right? Because, like, you're saying you have 70% of something that is valuable. The remaining 190 something countries are sharing 30% of that thing. You should find a way to add value to it and sell it to the world. So for us, that's what we're focused on. People have told us, oh, we should do sweet potatoes and we should do, all these different things. Right now, that's not the focus. The focus is literally on, yams and adding value to yams. And we have some really, really amazing products that would change, you know, how we're being perceived in this industry for sure. I believe Leky Mills is one of the future of agro processing in Nigeria, and I'm speaking it into existence. And I'm saying that, by God's grace, we get to show younger folks that, this industry is profitable if you come in for the right reasons, you're resilient, and, you're taking your time to learn and unlearn and, sort of build. So next couple of years is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be, us putting out new products that we've, added value to, in that same yam value chain. We're gonna stick with yams. Trust me, there's so much you can do with yam. Don't forget, yam is one of the most versatile crops. Yam is one of those things that you can boil, you can fry, you can roast, you can pound, you can dry and use it for amala. So it's super versatile. So for us, it's like, how can we find new ways to, add value to it? And then more than anything, it's about selling to the world. We're very big on, we're not, you know, just a Nigerian company or a local company. The same way I grew up eating, you know, American, stuff in Nigeria is the same way I want a kid in, Brooklyn to see a Leky Mills product and eat it because, we got to add value to our, raw materials and export it to the world, and a kid in, China eating, our product. Because I mean, St. Louis is not even a Nigerian, is not even a like Nigerian brand of sugar. But we grew up eating it. I think it's from Morocco or something. So there's so many products that sardine is not a Nigerian product. It's from some other country, but we grew up thinking, oh, like this is the norm. But that's because they got to add value to it and sell it to us. And so for us, it's about really adding value and selling it to the world. That's what the next 5 years is gonna look like for sure.
Wow, wow.
But to
I
Nigerians
really
first.
exactly. I really like what you're saying, honestly. I get exactly where you're coming from. I think we've briefly spoken about this before. It's like, you know, the same way we have Pringles in Nigeria or Oreos in Nigeria or Bounty or Twix. Like, why can't Lecky Mills be a household name in other countries and
Yep.
Nigeria as well? We shouldn't just be
Right.
thinking, oh, let's just do a Nigerian thing, right? So I
Yeah.
completely agree with you, and I do believe that Lecky Mills is going to be that brand because at the end of the day, you guys have got your head on. You're not using your investors' money to go and party in whatever in W bar. But like you guys
Bet.
are focused, man. You guys are actually
Right.
grinding and you're creating
Yeah.
nice products. You're pushing the brand. And yeah, I definitely see that happening. And like you said, Nigeria is the biggest producer of yam, so or 70% of it at least. So I mean, we should be the yam experts. If you produce 70% of anything,
Yep.
you should be the experts in that thing. So, well said and well summarized. So, before I let you go, please share your any way people can reach out to you, your socials, and then also if you're looking for any kind of partners or investors or anything like that, please do a shout out, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, man. So social media on all those platforms that I'm not on, but the company's on, X, Instagram, Twitter. Oh yeah, that's X, right? TikTok. So we're Leky Mills, which is LEKYMILLS. You can find our website, www.lekymills.com, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, we shout out to Nigeria and the government and the people. Shout out to everybody as well as still building great companies, still believing. I think all jokes aside, I think shout out to those people who are still building any sort of company really in this period because it's tough for not just agro businesses but every business. So shout out to everyone that's still building, still believing, still hoping things turn around in their favor because that's the mindset I have. This idea came in COVID, the worst period in our lives. So when
Mm.
is the worst time to start? When is the worst time to start a business? In COVID. So if we've gone through that, you know, my mindset is, we can get through any phase really. And to be honest with you, I remember telling myself, I said, I want to start a business that can survive another pandemic. And Leky Mills can. If there was another pandemic, we'll be called an essential company and we'll still be running and we'll still be making money and we'll still be, supplying to people, restaurants. And that's exactly what I really wanted. I wanted a business that could actually survive another pandemic. And Yeah, so anyone that's building this tough period, stick it through, put God first, and just keep believing, man. Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. And amen to COVID-proof businesses as well. I like the way you're thinking. So yeah, thank you so much, Darren. It's been amazing. We're gonna catch up offline as well, but this has been a good
For
episode.
for
People
sure.
learn.
Thank you, my guy.
All right.
Thank you for being my go-to guy when I need to ask a question as well. You're always there,
Okay.
solid guy for the contacts and all of that stuff. So shout out to you as well.
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Nice one. All right, man. We'll
All right,
speak
man.
soon. This podcast is sponsored by Kadan Kadan.